You're listening to Business English Pod, the business English podcast for professionals on the move.
Hello and welcome back to Business English Pod. My name's Edwin, and today we're going to learn how to make an inquiry on the telephone. Making an inquiry means that you want to ask a question or questions to get information. Getting information over the telephone can be challenging. You need to be very clear about what you need, and sometimes you need to ask the other person for clarification when you can't hear or don't understand. If information isn't correct, or if it's misunderstood, there could be big trouble. So it's important that you learn good ways of making telephone inquiries. What do you actually do when you make an inquiry? Well, to begin, you will want to ask for information. That could simply mean telling the other person what you want to know more about. Sometimes you might also use an alternative choice question, like is it A or is it B? Giving limited options like that can help make things clear. Now, what if you can't hear the other person correctly? Well, you might have to use an expression like, "Sorry, what did you say?" to get the other person to repeat himself. And sometimes a word or abbreviation might not be clear, and you might have to spell it out, letter by letter. All of these are ways of making sure your inquiry and the information is clear. In today's dialogue, we'll hear George, who works for a company called Airtronics. George's company is writing a proposal to make radios for an aircraft company called Cyclops. George is talking to Simon at Cyclops Aircraft to get some information he needs for his proposal. The telephone connection isn't always clear, which creates some difficulty in the call. As you listen, try to answer the following questions. 1. George asks Simon about shipping or delivering the radios. What are the two choices George gives Simon about shipping? 2. At one point, George can't hear what Simon says. How does George ask Simon to repeat himself? 3. Simon uses two words to make it clear to George that he means XV. What are the two words?
Unfortunately, Nathan is out of the office visiting suppliers, but I might be able to help you. Can I ask what this is in reference to?
Well, Nathan called last Friday about a contract for the A420 radios, and we have most of the information.
Oh, yes, the A420 radios. Both Nathan and I are working on that contract. What can I help you with?
Well, I read Nathan's email describing this contract, but I need a bit more information in order to finish our proposal, and hopefully you can help us with that.
I'll do my best. Go ahead.
Okay, first, could you tell me whether the radios are to be shipped to you in one shipment after all of them are built, or whether we should ship each one as we finish it?
We want all 20 of them delivered in one shipment at the end. Will that be a problem?
Oh no, no problem at all. All in one shipment. Much simpler. Next, are these radios supposed to have backup batteries in case of electrical failure on the aircraft?
Nope, we don't need them. We have the main backup battery for all systems in the cockpit.
I'm sorry, come again? We're having some breakups.
No, we don't need them.
Okay, no backup batteries. Now, here's an important question. Should we build these according to EU 8567D specifications or to US 4563P specifications?
Neither. These will be built according to the new XV, that's X as in X-ray, V as in Victor, 9582 specifications.
Okay, right. X is in X-ray, V is in Victor, 9582. Glad I asked. Would it be possible to get the latest version of those specifications emailed to us?
No problem. We'll send them right away. Do you need anything else?
No, that about covers it. Thanks for your help. We look forward to sending our proposal this Friday.
Now, let's go through the dialogue again and look at the language George and Simon used in their conversation. As we go through the dialogue, we'll give you some more examples that you can practice. Just before this part of the conversation, George is asked to speak with Nathan at Cyclops Aircraft. Let's hear what Simon says.
Unfortunately, Nathan is out of the office visiting suppliers, but I might be able to help you. Can I ask what this is in reference to?
Well, Nathan called last Friday about a contract for the A420 radios, and we have most of the information.
Oh, yes.
Simon wants to know what George's call is in reference to. This means what the call is about. When you make a telephone inquiry, often you need to state what you're calling about. As George says, he's calling about a contract or agreement for A420 radios. That's the general topic. Let's hear how they continue.
And we have most of the information.
Oh, yes, the A420 radios. Both Nathan and I are working on that contract. What can I help you with?
Well, I read Nathan's email describing this contract, but I need a bit more information in order to finish our proposal, and hopefully you can help us with that.
So, how does George make his inquiry? Well, he introduces it with a bit of background. He tells Simon that he's trying to finish the proposal and he needs a bit more information. Notice that he adds, "Hopefully you can help us," as a polite way of asking for more information. So, to introduce your inquiry, you can give the person a bit of background or the reason you need the information, and then ask your question. Let's practice asking for more information in this way. I want you to repeat what you hear so you can practice each expression.
I have some questions about your recent order with us.
We're just completing a mock-up of your website, but I need a bit more info about the company.
Could you tell me your shipping address so I can get this delivery to you right away?
I was wondering if you could go over some of the details on the design with me.
Let's get back to the dialogue, as George is going to ask for some more specific information.
I'll do my best. Go ahead.
Okay, first, could you tell me whether the radios are to be shipped to you in one shipment after all of them are built, or whether we should ship each one as we finish it?
George starts by saying first, which tells Simon that he's got more than one question. Next, George begins his question with the polite expression, "Could you tell me?" That's a great way to introduce an inquiry. Using would and could in questions is nice and polite. And what exactly is George's question? Well, he gives Simon an alternative choice. He asks if they want the radio shipped or delivered all at one time or after each one is finished. Why do we use alternative choice questions like this? Well, by giving specific choices, we can minimize confusion. This is a useful technique for avoiding misunderstandings. So let's run through a few more ways of asking an alternative choice question.
Were you interested in purchasing outright, or were you thinking of leasing?
Could you tell me whether you need the paper by next week, or is 2 weeks from today okay?
Would you prefer to have this delivered, or would you rather pick it up yourself?
Will you need installation as well, or will you take care of that yourself?
Let's hear how Simon responds to the question about shipment, and then we'll hear George's next question.
We want all 20 of them delivered in one shipment at the end. Will that be a problem?
Oh no, no problem at all. All in one shipment. Much simpler. Next, are these radios supposed to have backup batteries in case of electrical failure on the aircraft?
You'll notice that George repeats Simon's preference, saying all in one shipment. That's a great way to confirm that you've heard the other person correctly. Then, George moves on to his second question, which he begins with next. That's a signal that he's about to ask for another piece of information. And what is that question? George wants to know if the radios should have backup batteries. Backup batteries would give the radios power if electricity in the aircraft or airplane failed. So, does Simon need backup batteries?
Nope, we don't need them. We have a main backup battery for all systems in the cockpit.
I'm sorry, come again? We're having some breakups.
Simon has answered George's question, but remember the phone connection isn't that great. So George doesn't hear what Simon has said. What can you do in this situation? Well, George says, "I'm sorry," and "come again." These are both expressions that mean, "I didn't hear you." There are many other simple ways to say that you haven't heard someone. Let's try a few examples. Remember to repeat what you hear.
Sorry, what was that?
Would you mind repeating that for me?
I missed that last bit. What did you say?
Come again?
So let's hear Simon repeat himself, and then George's next question.
No, we don't need them.
Okay, no backup batteries. Now, here's an important question. Should we build these according to EU 8567D specifications or to US 4563P specifications?
Remember, I mentioned that George repeated what Simon said. Just to confirm it. He does this again when he says no backup batteries. And for his third question, George gives a bit longer introduction. He says, "Now, here's an important question." That tells Simon to listen carefully, and you can see why. George is asking about the specifications for building the radios. In this case, specifications are like guidelines or detailed instructions. George mentions two specifications, EU 8567D and US 4563P. So, what does Simon say about the specifications?
Neither. These will be built according to the new XV, that's X as in X-ray, V as in Victor, 9582 specifications.
Simon needs the radios built to some new specifications. And because these specifications have complex names, using a combination of letters and numbers, Simon wants to be extra clear. To do that, he spells out the letters by saying them as words. He uses X-ray to mean X, and Victor to mean V. This is really useful when you think someone might be confused about a letter that sounds like another letter, or words that have difficult spellings. Let's practice this way of using words to explain which letter we mean.
That's A for apple.
That's G as in George.
That's I like in India.
Once again, you'll hear George repeat the information. And once again, he uses polite language to ask for something. This time he uses, "Would it be possible?" Let's listen.
Okay, right. X is in X-ray, V is in Victor, 9582. Glad I asked. Would it be possible to get the latest version of those specifications emailed to us?
No problem. We'll send them right away. Do you need anything else?
So, they've finished with the issue of the specifications. And Simon wants to know if George needs anything else. What does George say?
No, that about covers it. Thanks for your help. We look forward to sending our proposal this Friday.
So, what can we say to show we've finished our inquiry? George uses the expression, "that about covers it." When you cover something, you deal with it. George is saying that they've covered everything. There are some other simple ways you can finish off your inquiry before saying thanks and goodbye. Let's practice a few more of these closing statements.
I think that will be all.
That's it for now.
And that about covers it, I believe.
So let's leave it there for now.
Well, it's time for us to leave it there for now, too. George has got the information he needed from Simon and used some great ways of clarifying and confirming information along the way. Now, let's practice some of the language we just learned with a short role play. Imagine that you work for a food company called Ray's Foods. You need to call someone at a supermarket to talk about their order. You will hear a statement from the manager at the supermarket. Then, I will suggest how you can respond. Use my suggestion to help you make your response. I'll guide you through each step of the practice, and we'll provide an example answer for each response. Ready? Let's give it a go.
Hi, this is Dwayne at Cooper's Market.
Start by saying you are calling from Ray's Foods because you have a question about their order.
Answer. Hello. I'm calling from Ray's Foods. I just have a question about your order.
All right, how can I help you?
Now, ask if they want it delivered in the early morning or the late afternoon.
Answer. So would you like this delivered in the early morning, or would you prefer the late afternoon?
Well, I'm thinking the late afternoon would be better.
Now, ask him to repeat himself because you couldn't hear properly.
Answer. Sorry, could you repeat that for me?
Sure thing. I said that late afternoon is better for us.
Finally, close the conversation by saying that's all and thanking him.
Answer. Okay, I think that's all. Thanks for your help.
To finish off, let's practice some of the vocabulary and expressions we've covered in this lesson. In a moment, you'll hear a series of sentences with a word replaced with a beep. Repeat each sentence, including the missing word. For example, if you hear,
Our restaurant orders food and equipment from many different.
you can say,
Our restaurant orders food and equipment from many different suppliers.
after each response, we'll provide the correct answer. Let's begin.
Hello there. I'm calling today to your advertisement in the newspaper. Answer. Hello there. I'm calling today in reference to your advertisement in the newspaper.
Would you like us to this to you by air or by train? Answer. Would you like us to ship this to you by air or by train?
After 3 months of negotiations, we finally signed a... Answer. After 3 months of negotiations, we finally signed a contract.
We just need to finish the budget before we can submit our for the work. Answer. We just need to finish the budget before we can submit our proposal for the work.
That's all for this lesson about making an inquiry on the telephone. We've learned how to ask for information. make alternative choice questions, and ask a speaker to repeat himself.